What's up, guys? Welcome back to Almost Functional. Here to get into the Necron Index that was released today. So we're just gonna jump right into it. So the army rule is reanimation protocols. If your army faction is Necrons, at the end of your command phase, units from your army with this ability activate its reanimation protocol and reanimate D3 wounds. Each time such a unit reanimates a wound, if that unit contains one or more models with fewer than the starting wounds remaining, select one of those models. That model regains one lost wound. If all models in that unit have their starting number of wounds, but that unit is not at starting strength, one destroyed model is returned to that unit with one wound remaining. Once such unit is at starting strength, all of its models have their starting number of wounds. Nothing further happens. Alright, so for single model units, it looks like you roll a d3, and for every number you get, you'll bring one guy back. Let's say you had a multi-wound unit, and you rolled a 3, and you had a guy who was down 1 wound. You would give it back to him. Then you would bring back a model with a wound, and then your last wound would heal him 1 wound. I believe that's how that works. So it's in your command phase now. It's not after every activation. It's not after every phase. It's like this is really toned down from some of the ways it's been in the past. So we'll see if they get some other buffs in other places, because that seems like it's a lot weaker than it was before. Then their detachment rule is command protocols. While a Necron character is leading a unit, they get +1 to hit roll. Alright, so anytime you put a character in a unit, they automatically get +1 to hit for the unit. That's a decent army rule. But again, there's no benefit for any unit that does not have a character in it. So a lot of these rules affect every unit in someone's army. This does not. This only affects units with characters. So really their army rules seem a little weak. So hopefully their data sheets make up for that. Then their first stratagem is a Protocol of the Eternal Guardian. It's at any phase. It's one Necron infantry character from your army that was just destroyed. Set him back up on the battlefield as close as possible to where it was destroyed, more than 1 away from all enemy models, and half of its starting wounds remaining. Each model can only be targeted with this once per battle. And then we have Protocol of the Hungry Void. This is in the fight phase. One Necron unit from your army that has not been selected to fight this phase. Until the end of the phase, add 1 to the strength characteristics of melee weapons equipped by models in your unit. In addition, if a Necron character is leading your unit, until the end of the phase, improve the AP of melee weapons by 1. So basically in the fight phase, you can give +1 strength to your unit. If there's a character in there, they're getting +1 AP. And if there's a character and they're already getting full rerolls from the army rule or the detachment rule. So that's nice for some of your combat units. Then we have Protocol of the Conquering Tyrant. It's in your shooting phase, 1 Necron unit from your army that is not shot yet. Until end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack that targets a unit with half of the firing weapon's range, you can reroll the wound roll. If a Necron character is leading your unit until the end of the phase, it works at full range. Okay, so basically in half range, you get to reroll wounds with your shooting, and if you have a character at full range, you get to reroll wounds, which means you'll be rerolling all wounds and all hits with the character in there at full range. So that's really nice. So the units with characters seems like they're going to be super, super strong, which fluff-wise, I guess, makes a little sense, because the characters are the only ones who have really like sentience in the Necron lore. But on the tabletop, this just makes your any unit that doesn't have a character way weaker. I mean, most armies, if the characters on their units are weaker, but Necrons, it seems that way especially more, because not only do they not get character buffs, they don't get the army rule base, or the detachment rule, basically. Then we have Protocol of the Undying Legions. Your opponent's shooting phase or the fight phase, just after an enemy unit has resolved its attack. 1 unit from your army that had 1 or more models destroyed. Your unit activates its reanimation protocols and reanimates D3 wounds. When doing so, if an Necron character leads it, you get D3 plus wounds. That's nice. You can just reanimate, and you can use this multiple phases. So you can reanimate in the shooting and the fight phase. So that helps a little bit for 1 or 2 units each turn with the way reanimation changed. So that's a little helpful. Then we got Protocol of the Vengeful Stars. Your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy unit has resolved its attacks. One Necron unit from your army that had 1 or more of its models destroyed. Your unit can shoot as if it were your shooting phase, but it must target the enemy unit that just attacked it. It can only do so if that unit is an eligible target. If a Necron character is leading your unit, you also get Ignore Cover. Alright, so that's nice. I've seen that in a few different armies. Well, this is nice. You take some damage. You still have a lot of guys left in your squad, though. You can immediately shoot back at the unit that shot you. That really eliminates. Sometimes you'll have like 1 or 2 models left, and someone will have a big unit, and you're like, well, they're not doing anything else. Might as well take some pot shots. Well, in this case, you wouldn't want to do that against Necrons because they want to spend that 1 CP. They might be able to pick up your little, couple man unit that's left, and you really didn't do much to them to be worth losing that asset. So that's just something. It's a nice thing to have. And then Protocol of the Sudden Storm is in your movement phase. 1 Necron unit. Till the end of the turn, ranged weapons equipped by models in your unit have Assault. If they have a Necron character, they can reroll advance rolls. Alright, that's nice. Anytime you can give units Assault so they can advance and shoot is nice. And then the fact that you can reroll the advance roll as well with the character, it's just extra bonus. So strats seem alright. Then we get Veil of Darkness, something they've had forever. Once per battle at the end of your opponent's turn, if the bearer's unit is not within engagement range of any enemy units, the bearer can use this enchantment. If it does, remove that unit from the battlefield. Then in the reinforcement steps of your next movement phase, set that unit up anywhere on the battlefield more than 9, away from all enemy models. Works very similar to the way it works now, just the difference is you have to do it at the end of your opponent's turn instead of during your turn, which means you can't score an objective with it and then do it. You won't be on the table to reanimate in your command phase. And maybe some other things I'm not thinking about. So those are downsides, but there's also a plus side. If for some reason you had taken damage, a bunch of damage or something, you also won't have to worry about taking battle shock for that unit. So one slight little good thing about that, but I think the downsides are worse, missing scoring and missing reanimation. Although if your unit hasn't been hit yet, you don't care that you're missing reanimation. It's only if they've taken damage that's really going to be an issue. Then we got Hyper Material Ablator. It's a Necron model only. While this bearer is leading a unit, models in that unit have the Stealth ability. In addition, each time a ranged attack targets the bearer, if the attacker is not within 12, they also get cover. Alright, so this gives your unit -1 to hit, and if they're more than 12 away, they also get cover, basically +1 save. I like that. That's really nice. Then we have the Sovereign Coronal, which is an Oral. Necron model only. While a friendly Necron unit is within 6 of the bearer, that unit counts as being led by a Necron character model. See, that really, really helps. Alright, this is almost an auto-take. Yeah, so you pop this out, and then if you keep that model with stuff near him, even if they're like just strung back to him, now you have more units gaining the buffs from the strats, the buff from your army rule. I don't think any good Necron list doesn't take this. This definitely helps. I mean, there's still going to be some units you got to send out and will be out of range and they don't get those buffs, but this is really big. Then we got Sempiternal Weave. The bearer gets a 4-up. So it's only on the bearer, so it's not going to be good for your little characters. If you can give it to a character that kind of runs on his own and has lots of wounds, then this would be really nice. So overall, 2 very nice ones, an auto take and a situational one, depending on which characters and how you're running them. So enhancements and strats I really like, so that's good. Army rule's a little weak. Enhancements and strats seem really good. So let's see what they give us on data sheets. We start with Emotec. He's a T5, 5 wounds. He's got the Gauntlet of Fire, which is Ignore, Cover, and Torrent. D6 shots, Strength 5, Neg 1, 1 damage. Staff of the Destroyer, 3 shots, Strength 6, Neg 3, 2 damage. And the Staff Destroyer in combat gets devastating wounds, 4 attack, strength 6, neg 3, 2 damage. He's a Grand Strategist, so at the start of your command phase, you gain a CP. Very useful, always nice to have. And then Lord of the Storm, once for a battle at the end of your command phase, this model can use this ability. If it does, roll 1d6 for each enemy unit within 12 of this model. On a 2 to 5, they take d3 mortals. On a 6, they take d3 plus 3. That's nice. Probably not something you do early game, but late game, when both of you are kind of in the middle, fighting over those middle objectives, handing out a bunch of mortals to them is always a useful thing. He can join Immortals, Lich Guard, and Necron Warriors. Alright, we'll see how he's pointed out, but I really like Emotec's datasheet. Then we got Orkin the Diviner. He's T4, 4 wounds. He's got the Staff of Tomorrow, which is devastating wounds. 2 attack, strength 4, neg 3, d3 damage. He's the Master Chronomancer. While this model is leading a unit, model doesn't have a 4-up invul save. Giving a unit a 4-up invul save, that's really nice. The stars are right. Once per battle at the start of the fight phase, this model can use this ability. If it does, until the end of the phase, triple the attacks and strength characteristics of this model's Staff of Tomorrow, and every successful wound rolled made for this model scores in a critical hit. Wow. So once a game, you can give him 6 attacks at strength 12 that hits on 3s, and every hit is doing d3 mortal wounds. I mean, it's only once per battle, but you got in that key combat, your unit's stuck in there. Alright, that's really nice. So far the characters are looking really good. If they're pointed cheap enough, and you can afford to put them in most of your units, and then you give that enhancement to one to kind of, then you're handing out your army rules to everybody, and then that actually makes this a lot stronger. So if all these little characters are kind of cheap and have good rules like this, Necrons might be in a good spot. So he can join Immortals, Lich Guard, Necron Warriors. Next we have Anrican the Traveler. Excuse me. He's T5, 6 wounds. He's got the Tachyon arrow, which is 1 shot. It's 72 inches though. 1 attack, strength 16, neg 5, d6 plus 2 damage, and he hits on 2s. But I know a lot of you out there thinking, even hitting on 2s with 1-shot weapons and a reroll, you're going to roll 2 1s. It happens. Yep. A 1 attack for a 1-shot only weapon, and it's his only ranged weapon. I'm not a big fan of it, but if that thing connects and gets through, you're really hurting something. And then his War Scythe is devastating wounds, 4 attack, strength 8, neg 3, 2 damage. That's fine. But also hits on 2, so not a lot of attacks, but he should consistently hit with them, and strength 8 will wound well. Lord of the Praetorian Eternals. While this model is leading a unit, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, add 1 to the wound roll. Alright, so he already gives reroll hits just because being a character in Necrons, and he'll give +1 to wound. That's nice, and that should apply to himself. So that makes both of these wounding. This should wound on anything in the game on a 2. So that's really helpful. It's 1 shot, but it hits on 2s and should wound on 2s. And then this will wound most stuff on 2s, and even vehicles it should be able to wound on 4s or 5s, even the highest tough ones. Because strength 8, I don't think there's anything that's a 16, so 5, yeah, so he should be wounding even vehicles on a 4. That's nice. Then Mind in the Machine. At the start of your opponent's shooting phase, select 1 enemy vehicle unit within 12, invisible to this model. That unit must take a leadership test. If the test is passed until the end of the phase, they're -1 to hit, and if it's failed, they can't shoot. That's nice. I've seen this a couple places. I mean, it's only 12-inch range, but once you get into the middle, fighting over those middle objectives, someone's got a really nice shooting vehicle. That one hits real nice, and if you happen to get them to fail and they can't shoot at all, that can be game defining. He can join Immortals. I think he's the first one we've seen that can join Immortals. Then we've got Vargard Oberon. He's T5, 5 wounds. He's got a War Scythe that's devastating precision. Other than that, he's got 4 attacks. I think that profile is the same as the other War Scythe. He's got a Ghostwalk Mantle. He gives his unit Fight First. Fight First is going to be a huge ability in this edition, I believe. And while this model is in the same unit as Nemesis Zandrek, models that unit have a Feel No Pain 4+ ability. So if you put those 2 characters in the same unit, you gain a 4+ for the whole unit. Oh, that's nice. We've seen a few times. Oh no, for character models, so only for the two. All right, never mind. That's the way it works for a lot of other armies. For a second there, I read that the whole unit got in it. I thought that was going to be huge. So that's not that big, because unless you're sniping them, the rest of the unit has to die before they get it. At that point, I'd rather split them up so you have characters leading more units, just so you get the bonuses. And he can join Immortals, Lich Guard, or Necron Warriors. And he can be attached to the same unit as Zandrek, which we kind of figured because of this rule. Then we got Aluminor Zeras. T8, 9 wounds, OC3. He's got an Eldritch Lance, which is strength, or 3 attacks, strength 9, neg 3, 3 damage. Then in combat, it's 4 attacks, strength 9, neg 3, 3 damage. And then he has Impaling Legs, which are extra attacks. 4 attacks, strength 6, neg 1, 1 damage. 8 attacks coming out of this guy. That's fairly decent, and not a bad shot. So this guy should be able to put out some damage for you. He's got a built-in 4-up Feel No Pain. With 9 wounds, that's really nice. He's not lone operative or leader, so he's going to be running on his own. This might be the guy you give that one enhancement that only went on. My brain's not working. Oh, went on like lone characters earlier when I was saying it was probably better on them. Maybe you put it here. Well, he's within 3 inches of one or more other friendly Necrons. He gets lone operative. Alright, so if he's near other Necron units, he does get character protected. You have to be within 12 to shoot him. He gets Mechanical Augmentation, which is while a friendly Necron battle line unit is within 6 inches of this model. Each time a model in that unit makes an attack, improve the AP by 1, and each time an attack targets that unit, worsen the AP by 1. Alright, so any battle line near him, they get basically Armor of Contempt, and they get extra AP shooting at the opponent. That's a really nice rule. And then at the end of the fight phase, if this model destroyed one or more models this phase until the end of the battle, add 3 to the range of its mechanical augmentation. So if it kills at least one model in the fight phase, and then until the end of the battle, this becomes a 9-inch aura, that's really nice. Alright, so yeah, so this really likes, once again, all the characters I've really liked. So Necrons definitely have some very solid characters. Here's Zandrek. He's the one who can join the same unit as the other guy. He's got the Staff of Light, 3 attacks, strength 5, neg 2, 1 damage, and then combat, it's 4 attacks, same profile. He's got Transient Madness. While he's leading a unit, at the start of your command phase, roll a d6 until the start of your next command phase. Weapons equipped by models in that unit gain the abilities below. Sustained hits 1, lethal hits, devastating wounds. Unfortunately, it's random, but you will be getting a buff every turn on your weapons. But if he was able to choose each turn, depending on what you're fighting, that would be really nice, but still nice. All those abilities are nice to have. And then once per battle, after your opponent uses a stratagem, oh, and he has the Vec, where you can increase this points of a stratagem for the rest of the battle for your opponent. So this I wish you could pick. Still is a decent roll, and this is really nice. So once again, all these Necron characters, I don't see any reason. Like, all of them are bringable. All of them are playable so far. And he joins Immortals, Lich Guard, and Warriors. We got Trazyn the Infinidate. He's T5, 6 wounds. He's got the Emphatic Obliterator, which is sustained hits D3, 4 attacks, strength 7, AP 0, D3 damage. He gets Ancient Collector. While this model is leading a unit at the end of your command phase, if that unit is within range of an objective marker, Art says he gives sticky objectives to the unit he's leading. That's always nice. Like, that's never a bad rule to have. You just got to remember you have it. And then Surrogate Host. At the start of your command phase, if this model is on the battlefield, you can select one other friendly Necron infantry character model on the battlefield, excluding Scorepack Lord or Epic Hero models. The selected model is destroyed, ignoring any rules that are triggered when a model is destroyed, and this model is put in its place with all of its wounds remaining. If the selected model was leading a unit, this model now attaches that unit as its leader. Whoa, alright, so that's weird. So basically he picks another Necron character, kills it, and takes their spot. He can be attached to these units. But it looks like, I mean, unless all the units he could specifically kill, like maybe the Scorepack's the only one who could join something he can't. But if for some reason there's a unit that's not listed here that another character is joined to that he could kill, he could I believe, I might be wrong about, potentially jump over into a unit he's not supposed to be, that's not listed here for him to be attached to at the beginning of the game. I guess maybe there's a unit that you really want to give this rule to or something, or have this weapon in that he can't join, but you're sacrificing a whole character. I don't know, this rule's kind of confusing to me. I don't know why it'd be useful or if you'd use it. I guess if any Necron players have any insight as to why that would be really good, let me know. Then we got the Royal Warden. He's a T5, 4 wounds. He's got a Relic Gauss Blaster. It's lethal hits, rapid fire 2. It's 2 attacks, strength 5, negative 1, 2 damage. He's just got a generic close combat weapon. He has adaptive strategy. While he's leading a unit, ranged weapons have heavy and assault. Well, so that's nice. If you sit still, you get +1 to hit. If you advance, you're wait. Oh yeah, no, the army will give them reroll to hit. For a second, they were saying give them +1 to hit. I was like, wait, that's doubling up. No, so he gives them +1 to hit, and then if they want to advance, they can still advance and shoot, and then they'll have the full rerolls either way. That's nice. And then once per battle, at the start of any phase, you can select one friendly Necron unit that is battle shocked within 12. That unit is no longer battle shocked. Cool. I've seen that in a few armies. It's always rough that it's the start of the phase because you fail your battle shock in the middle of a phase and you score command points at the end of the phase. So you wouldn't be able to use this till the start of the movement phase if you failed. So it doesn't help you scoring primary, but it does allow you to gain OC back to contest objectives on your opponent's turn and use strats. If you need to fall back, you're not taking the desperate step. So it is a useful rule. It just doesn't help you with primary points unless you're playing. I think there's at least one. There might be multiple of the missions where you score at like the end of the turn, but most of them are scoring in your command phase. You can join Immortals and Necron Warriors. Here's the Scorepack Lord. He's T7, 6 wounds, OC2. He's got the Emotec Annihilator, rapid fire 2, 2 attacks, strength 6, neg 1, 1 damage. He's got a Flensing Claw, which is 8 attacks, strength 6, neg 1, 1 damage, and a Hyperphase Harvester, which is 4 attacks, strength 7, neg 3, 3 damage. He's got United in Destruction. While he's leading unit, they get lethal hits, and each time he ends a charge move, select one enemy unit in engagement range. On a 2 to 5, they take D3 mortals, and all 6, they take D3 plus 3. That's a really nice rule. Yeah, so once again, all these characters are looking really nice, and they're getting a lot of them. So maybe they're planning on pointing it accordingly, where you can bring a decent-sized Necron army that has characters in almost every single unit. If so, then this is going to be, Necrons are going to be really, really nice. Here we got a Locust Lord. He's a Locust Lord. T6, 6 wounds, OC2. Stapholite, he's got a Lord's Blade, which is devastating wounds, 4 attacks, strength 8, neg 3, 2 damage. He's Destroyer Cult, so while he's leading unit, they 5-up critical hit, and then each time he's driven by hatred. Each time this model makes an attack that targets an enemy unit below half strength, you can reroll the hit roll and reroll the wound roll. Alright, so they're going to be really good at, well, he specifically is going to be really good at finish off units that are half dead. Phylactery gives him a 5-up Feel No Pain. Resurrection Orb, while it's leading a unit, the unit's reanimation will activate at the end of your opponent's command phase in addition to the end of yours. That's really nice. So now, whatever unit he's leading gets reanimate in both people's command phases. So you'll most likely regenerate twice before your opponent can start doing any more damage to your unit. So that's really nice. So you get to choose between the two. If you plan on leading a unit, I'd take the orb every time. If you can throw him out on its own, then the 5-up Feel No Pain. They can enjoy the Locust Destroyers and the Locust Heavy Destroyers. Then we got your regular Lord, T5, 4 wounds, Stapholite, Lord's Blade. Alright, we've seen those. He gets Relentless March. While he's leading a unit, add 1 to the move characteristics on that unit. That's not bad, +1 movement. And while he's leading a unit, you can target that unit with stratagem even when it's battle shocked. Alright, that's useful. And then he can take the Resurrection Orb. I'd take as many of these as possible because it's not limited to one unit using them. So yeah, any model that can take a Res Orb, I'd take a Res Orb. Put as many of those in your list as possible. So these are nice rules, and then the fact that they take a Res Orb is really nice. He joins Immortals, Lich Guard, and Warriors. We get the Command Barge. He's T8, 9 wounds, OC3. He gets a Gauss Cannon, which is lethal hits, 3 attacks, strength 5 negative damage. He has a Tesla Cannon, which is sustained hits 2, 4 attacks, strength 6, AP01 damage. So on 6s to hit, he gets 2 extra hits, which is used to just be called the Tesla rule. Like, everybody called that Tesla for a long time because they were one of the first things that really did that. They got 2 extra hits rolling 6s, so it's good to see that the Tesla weapons, well, at least this one, hopefully the rest of them get that back because it's really something iconic to them. Then he has an Overlord's Blade, which is devastating wounds, strength 8, negative 3, 2 damage. He's got a Carrier Wave. While friendly Necron units within 6 of this model add 1 to their objective control. That's nice. And then Advanced Quantum Shielding. Each time attack targets this model, if the strength is greater than his toughness, subtract 1 from the wound. So anything strength 9 or higher, he is going to be -1 to wound against him. That's very useful. And then he gets a Resurrection Orb. He can select 1 friendly Necron infantry or mounted unit within 6. Alright, so yeah, he can do it, and he gets to choose a unit near him, so that's nice, because the others, I believe, were limited to... Let me scroll back up. Yeah, theirs are limited to their unit, so you could have him in between different units and that don't have characters that have that and be handing it out to whichever ones need it. That's really nice. Once again, all the characters have been kind of impressive. And then we got T5, 6 wounds Overlord. Tachyon Arrow, Staff of Light, Overlord's Void Scythe, that's new. Devastating wounds, 3 attacks, strength 12, negative 3, 3 damage. That's a really nice weapon. And by new, I mean, I don't think we've seen it in a data sheet yet. That's been a weapon for a while. Then he gets My Will Be Done. Once per battle round, 1 unit from your army will be, with this ability, can be targeted with strategy for 0 CP, even if another unit has already used that strat this phase. That's a great one. Like, every character I've seen that has these, you need to find a way to put them in your list. Each time attacks allocated to this model, subtract 1 from the damage. That's nice. It only affects him, though, not his unit, but that's still nice. And then he can take the Res Orb. Immortals, Lich Guard, and Warriors are what he can join. Then we get the Technomancer. He's T4, 4 wounds. He's got Staff Light, and then his rules are Reanimation. Rites of Reanimation. It gives his unit a 5-up Feel No Pain. Very nice. And at the end of your movement phase, you can select 1 friendly Necron model within 3 of the bearer. They regain D3 lost wounds. Each model can only be selected for this once per turn. Alright. That's nice. You bring a model back to a unit and it still wasn't at full strength from reanimation. You pop this on there, and then if they have reanimation protocol, your opponent's command phase, you can bring back a model instead of healing him. Or you got a vehicle or something that's wounded, you put that on it. That's really nice. You can take a cloak that gives him fly, lone operative, and a 10-inch move. And then you can put him on his own, run around with this. But giving a 5 of Feel No Pain to a unit and giving all the other buffs to a unit, I think you probably want to add him in a unit, but there may be lists or reasons why you do this. A friendly Canoptic units within 6 of the bear, and each time a Canoptic model in that unit makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll. That's really nice. Immortals, Lich Guard, and Necron Warriors he can join. He can attach to above unit even if a Warden or a Noble has already joined it. So that's nice. But I don't know how much you're going to be doubling up characters because you kind of want to get them in every unit. But if there's 1 or 2 little units you're not worried about, and 1 unit you want to add the double buffs to, that's nice that he can if you wanted to. Then you got the Psychomancer. T4, 4 wounds. You get the Abyssal Lance, which is 1 attack, strength 6, negative 3 damage, and then same in combat, exact same profile, same amount of attacks. He's only got 1 attacking, shooting, and combat, so that's kind of... he's got decent strength, AP, and damage, but just 1 attack each isn't that great. He's got the Nightmare Shroud. While enemy unit is within 9 of this model, subtract 1 to leadership test. That's okay. And then at the start of your shooting phase, select 1 enemy within 18. This unit must take a Battle Shock test. Alright, handing out Battle Shocks is nice. The rest of his status sheet I was kind of blow on, but this is nice. And if he's not too expensive, yeah, you bring him just for that. Mortals, Lich Guard, Necron Warriors. He can also be joined to the same unit as a Warden or a Noble. Then we got your Chronomancer, T4, 4 wounds. He's got the Aeon Stave, which is Blast. D6 shots, strength 5, neg 1 damage, and then in combat it's 3 attacks, strength 5, neg 1 damage. He's got the Time Splitter Mantle. While he's leading a unit, they're neg 1 to hit. And he's got the Chronometron. In your shooting phase, after this model's unit is shot, if it's not within engagement range of enemy unit, he can make a normal move up to 5 inches as if it were your movement phase, but then it can't clear charge. Alright, so anytime you could move after you shoot and your shooting phase is nice, you pop out, shoot something, move back to kind of safety, or if you need it, move, pop out, shoot, move to take or contest an objective, do a secondary. That's always useful. There's so many ways this can come in handy. Lich Guard Immortals and Warriors he can join. Then we got the Plasmancer. He's T4 4 wounds. He's got the Plasmic Lance. 3 attacks, strength 7, neg 3 2 damage. Then the Plasmic Lance in combat is 2 attacks, strength 7, neg 3 2 damage. He's got the Harbinger of Destruction. While this model is leading a unit, each time a model in that unit makes a ranged attack, a successfully hit roll of 5+ is a critical hit. That's nice. And then in your shooting phase, select one enemy unit with an 18 invisible to the model. Roll a d6 for each model in that unit. For each 6, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. Alright, so you pick an enemy unit. You roll 1d6 for every model in your enemy unit, and for every 6, they take a mortal wound. So for bigger units, this is going to do a little bit of damage for you. Smaller units, you're just fishing for 6s, but it doesn't cost you CP or anything, so might as well do it. Immortals, Lich Guard Warriors. Alright, looks like we're finally done with characters. We're 41 pages into this index before we get done with characters. We got Necron Warriors, T4 1 wound, OC2. They got the Gauss Flare, which is lethal hits, rapid fire 1. 1 attack, strength 4 1 damage. And then the Reapers, lethal hits as well. 2 attacks, strength 5 neg 1 damage, but half the range. Each time this unit's reanimation protocol is active, it reanimates D6 wounds instead of D3, unless it's within range of objective marker, and then it does D3 plus 3. So that's really nice, because if you've got a character in there, you're guaranteed to get at least 8 models back if you've lost that many before it gets to your opponent's turn. They can take 10 to 20 models, so if you're running one of those big squads, and your opponent doesn't kill it, you could, on average, you're going to gain 10 back before it gets to your opponent's turn if you have a Res Orb in this unit. That's really nice. Then we got your Immortals. They're T5 1 wound. They also have the Gauss Blaster, but then they can take the Carbine, which is Assault. Sustained hits 2. It's 2 attacks, strength 5, AP 0 1 damage. And it's so Tesla does get the sustained hits 2 there. They have Implacable Eradication. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack, reroll a wound roll of 1. If the target of that attack is an enemy unit within range of an objective, you can roll all wounds. That's really nice. You can reroll wounds. Like a lot of these units, like when they get the reroll wounds, if you have a character too, so you're rerolling everything, hits and wounds, the efficiency of stuff just jumps up with these rerolls. And this is the addition with less rerolls apparently. We got Connectic Reanimator is T6 6 wounds, OC3. It has an Atomizer Beam, which is 3 attacks, strength 6, neg 2 1 damage, and then Reanimator's Claws are strength 5, AP 0 1 damage. He gets a 4 Feel No Pain. He has Reanimation. He has a friendly Necron unit within 12 of this model. Each time that unit's reanimation protocol active, the unit reanimates an additional D3 wounds. Oh, that's good. Like, and that's an aura, so it's like everywhere within 12. So you have him near some warriors with a Res Orb, and they're on an objective. They're regenerating 2d3 plus 3 twice before your opponent gets to do anything again. So that's 5, 6, 7. So you could take a 20-man unit down to 1 model. This goes off twice, so they're getting back on average 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14 models back. It's a 15-model unit, and potentially getting 3, 6, 9, 18 models back, and they'd be back to a 19-model unit. All right, so the original reanimation rule was kind of blah, but with the way you can do all these stacking, it's still not the same as doing it every phase, but it's starting to look a little stronger. Then you got the HexMark Destroyer. He's a T5 5 wounds. He's got the Emotec Disintegrator Pistols, which are precision, 6 shots, strength 6, neg 2 1 damage. 6 shots for a pistol with precision is pretty nice. Do that if you're in combat. He's got just a regular close combat weapon. He gets Deep Strike and Lone Operative. So you could drop in and try to snipe something. He's got Inescapable Death. Once per turn, one unit from your army with this ability can be targeted for the Fire Overwatch strat for 0 CP, even if you already used it. In addition, each time you target this unit with a Fire Overwatch strat, while resolving the stratagem, hit your score. Whoa! He overwatches on 2s and gets to do it for free, even if someone else already overwatched. It's only 6 shots, but doing it out of turn on your opponent's turn, hitting on 2s for no CP, it's basically just like, that's great. And it's got good AP. I mean, it's only 1 damage, but you can snipe at characters with it. Wow, I'm really liking this guy. And then he gets a multi-threat eliminator. Each time an enemy unit targets a friendly Necron unit within 3 of this model with a ranged attack, after the enemy unit has shot, this model can shoot it. Oh, wow. So you drop in, you shoot with him. Your opponent moves. You shoot him again with Overwatch. Your opponent shoots at you or someone else near you. You could shoot him your turn in Overwatch in the movement phase or charge phase, whatever, and in your opponent's turn. And it's each time. So if they shot you, if you position this guy right and they're shooting stuff, like if he's on the key objective and you have key units on the objective and they need to shoot you off it, and they have stuff near him, he's just going to be shooting and shooting and shooting. I wonder how many points this guy is. This guy is really cool. I'm really liking this Necron Index so far. Lich Guard or T5 2 wounds. Hyperphase Sword 3 attack, strength 6, -2 1 damage. And then the War Scythe we've already seen. Guardian Protocols, while Noble is leading this unit, each time attack targets this unit, subtract 1 from the wound roll. Alright, so this unit is -1 to wound. And if they have Dispersion Shields, they get a 4-up invul. Alright, this is really nice. And they can take 5 to 10. Then we get the Deathmarks. Synaptic, their T5 1 wound. Synaptic Disintegrator is heavy precision. It's 1 attack, strength 5, -2 2 damage. It's close combat, so the 2 attack, strength 4, AP 0 1 damage. Alright, so Disintegrator is 1 shot each, but it's 36 inch range, precision, and heavy. That's nice. You run them near that other guy that's got the 6 pistol precision shots, and then they can precision in the Overwatch, and like, you can be taking out some people's characters. So it looks like one of the biggest counters to Necrons is going to be Necrons. Come in to snipe all the Necron characters out. They have Hyperspace Hunters. Once per turn in the reinforcement step of your opponent's movement phase, when an enemy unit is set on the battlefield from reserve within 18 of a visitless unit, this unit can shoot as if it were your shooting phase, but will only target the unit while doing so. Can only do it if it. So enemy unit comes in from reserve on your opponent's turn, you can shoot them after if they're within 18. Take 5 to 10. All right, Deathmarks look good. Flayed ones, T4 1 wound. Flare Claw, sustained hits 1 twin linked. 4 attack, strength 4, -1 1 damage. Flesh Hunger. Each time a model in this unit makes a melee attack, if the target a unit below half strength, successful hit is a critical hit. That's nice. If they're attacking a unit below half strength, every hit is 2 hits because sustained hits 1, and then they also get to reroll their wounds. So these are going to be real good at running and cleaning up what's left of units. 5 to 10 flayed ones. Then we got your Crypto Thralls, T4 2 wounds. They have Scouring Eye, which is range 6, 2 attacks, strength 5, -1 1 damage. And the Scythe Limbs are 4 attacks, strength 5, -1 1 damage. So not much range on their shooting. Feel No Pain 4+. They have Bound Creation. While this unit is in the same unit as a Cryptek model, the Cryptek has a Feel No Pain 4+. Then Systemic Vigor. Each time a model in this unit is destroyed by a melee attack, if that model has not fought this phase, roll a d6. On a 3+, do not remove play. So they have a 3-up fight on death. The start of the declare battle formation step. This unit can join one other unit from your army that is not being led by a Cryptek infantry model. You're not going to have more than one Crypto Thrall you want to join to it. If it does, so basically they join a hold on. The start of your declare battle formation, this unit can join one other unit from your army that's being led by a Cryptek infantry model. Alright, so if an infantry character is leading a unit, you can attach the Crypto Thralls to it. That's okay. I don't know how many points they are. They give your Cryptek a 4 Feel No Pain. They fight on death, but this is the first data sheet I'm really not impressed with. I don't know if you bring these guys. There are a couple extra bodies in the unit. but I think you're probably better off putting those points somewhere else. Then we got Scorepack Destroyers, T6, 3 wounds, OC2. They have Scorepack Hyperphase weapons, 4 attack, strength 7, negative 2 damage. They get Whirling Onslaught. Each time a model in this unit makes a melee attack, you can ignore any or all modifiers to that attack's weapon skill characteristic and or to that attack's hit roll. Alright, so they ignore all. So they're basically always hitting on what they hit on, unless you give them bonuses, and then they will hit better. They get a Plasma Sight once per battle for each Plasma Sight this unit has. When this unit is selected to fight, you can use this ability. If you do, until the end of the phase, melee weapons gain devastating wounds. Alright, so for each Plasma Sight you give them, you can choose to give your unit devastating wounds for a fight phase. Alright, so it's 3 to 6. For every 3 models, they can have 1 Plasma Sight. Alright, so you can have at most 2 if you go full man. If you don't go full man, you can only have 1. Even if you take 5, you're stuck with 1. But still, once per game, giving devastating wounds isn't bad. Because there's normally really 1, maybe 2 turns that really determine a combat. Like, you don't normally have a unit in combat for 4 or 5 turns. It's normally 2 or 3. Normally about 2 turns, 3 maybe in certain games. Then we got the Triarch Stalker. He's T8, 12 wounds, OC4. He's got a Heat Ray, which has 2 versions. The Dispersed is Ignore, Cover, Torrent. 2d6 shots, strength 5, neg 1 damage. And then Focused is Melt 4. 2 shots, strength 9, neg 4 d6. He's got a Particle Shredder, which is Blast, Devastating Wounds. D6 plus 6, strength 7, 1 damage. And then a Twin Heavy Gauze Cannon, which is Lethal Hits, Twin Linked. 3 shots, strength 8, neg 2 damage. He's got Stalker's Forelimbs, which are 4 attacks, strength 7, neg 1, 3 damage. He has a Targeting Relay. In your shooting phase, each time this model is selected to shoot, after resolving its attacks, select one enemy unit that was hit by 1 or more of those attacks. Until the end of the phase, that unit cannot benefit from cover. Alright, so you can take cover away from an enemy unit. That's always a good thing. So, decent damage and stuff on its weapons. This is a really good ability. He hasn't been good for a while, so if he's pointed appropriately, I definitely think he's worth bringing. Then they give us a Ctan Shard of the Deceiver. T11, 12 wounds, 4 up save, OC6. He's got Cosmic Insanity, which is 18-inch range, anti-character 4, devastating wounds precision, 6 attacks, strength 6, neg 2, 1 damage. And then Golden Fist, it's 8 attacks, strength 8, neg 3, 2 damage. He has Stealth, and then he has the Grand Illusion. If your army includes this model after both players have deployed their army, select up to 3 Necron units from army and redeploy them. They can be set into strategic reserves. Alright, that's very good. And then each time an attack is allocated to this model, have the damage characteristic. Alright, so they're no longer phase capped, and they don't get all the Necron powers. This is okay. It's only 1 damage, but it's 6 attacks, and it can target characters. And it wounds characters on 4s all the time. Well, Immortals characters on 4s all the time. But this Grand Illusion is really nice, so this definitely seems worth having. Redeploys are always nice for that pregame deployment player on. You throw out a couple units, you know you can move them just to see what your opponent's doing before you give away what you're doing. Then the Ctan of the Nightbringer is T11, 12 wounds. He has Gaze of Death, which is Blast. It's D3 shots, strength 12, neg 2, d6 plus 3. Then he has the Scythe of the Nightbringer. Has 2 versions. That's Strike, which is devastating wounds, 6 attacks, strength 14, neg 4, d6 damage. Then Scythe of the Nightbringer Sweep is 14 attacks, strength 8, neg 2, 2 damage. I never like when a weapon has 2 versions, and the one is a random amount, but still has potential to do less than the Sweep. Like, this should be D3, D6 plus 1, or like D3 plus 2, or just something so that no matter what, your Strike doesn't have the potential to do less wounds than your Sweep. Then we have Drain Life. At the end of the fight phase, roll 1d6 for each enemy unit within 6 of this model. On a 4+, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Alright, so yeah, you get him into combat. He's just doing mortals and stuff around him. Then he's got the Necrodermis. Each time an attack is allocated to this model, half the damage characteristic. Alright, that's probably going to be on all the Ctans. That's in place of their phase cap, I believe. Then we have the Void Dragon. He's T11, 12 wounds, OC4. He's got the Spear of the Void Dragon, which is anti-vehicle 2. 1 attack, strength 4, neg 3, d6 plus 2. Voltaic Storm is Blast, sustained hits 2. It's d6 plus 3 attack, strength 7, neg 1, 2 damage. Then in combat, the Spear of the Void Dragon has 2 versions. Strike is anti-vehicle 2, 5 attack, strength 12, neg 3, d6 plus 2. Then Sweep is 10 attack, strength 8, neg 1, 2 damage. And yep, that's how a profile like this should be written. The Strike, even if you roll a 1 on the d6, is still doing more wounds than the Sweep. Then we got the Connectic Tail Blades for extra attacks, or strength 6 attack, strength 6, neg 1, 1 damage. He's got Matter Absorption. At the start of your shooting phase, select one enemy vehicle unit within 12 of this model and roll 1d6. On a 2, that enemy unit suffers d3 mortal wounds, and he regains that many wounds. Alright, so anytime you can hand out mortals to a vehicle and then heal yourself, that's cool. And then, yep, Necrodermis, half damage. Alright, then we got the Transcendent Ctan. T11, 12 wounds, OC4. Seismic Assault is Assault, sustained hits 1. 6 attack, strength 8, neg 2, d3 damage. That's nice. Then Crackling Tendrils are sustained hits 1. 8 attack, strength 9, neg 3, d6. Alright, that's decent. Transdimensional Displacement. Each time this model is selected to advance, you can remove from the battlefield and set up any... Oh wow, so instead of advancing, he just disappears and re-deep strikes, basically. That's really nice. That gives you some real versatility, so you can get around, and then you can charge out of it. I mean, you're looking at 9 inches charges, but you have the potential. And a lot of these tackle objectives need you to get behind enemy lines, or like engage on all fronts, or get to certain kill units off objective. Like, there's lots of ways this can be useful. Even if, just to get him away on the other side of the battlefield because he's going to die, just keep him for, like, there's so many ways this is useful than half damage. Like, profiles here are nice. This is great. Then we got Connectic Spiders, T7, 6 wounds. They have a Particle Beamer, which is Blast, Devastating Wounds. It's D6 shots, strength 6, 1 damage. Automaton Claws are 5 attack, strength 8, neg 2, 2 damage. Connectic Swarm. In your command phase, select one friendly Connectic Scarab unit, Swarm within 6 of this unit. One discord model is destroyed to that Scarab Swarm for each spider modeled in this unit. Alright, so you just pick swarms near you, and you add for each spider in this unit, you add 1 to the swarm. That's nice. I think you used to have to roll for that and stuff back in the day, so that just auto happens. We have a Fabricator Claw Ray. Well, a friendly Necron vehicle unit is within 6 of the bearer. The unit has a Feel No Pain of 6+. And then we have a Gloom Prism. Well, a friendly Necron's unit within 6 of it, they have 4 Feel No Pain against Psychic. Alright, these are okay. This is nice if you're running swarms. These are okay. Spiders are alright. If you're planning on running a bunch of scarabs and spiders, like, they synergize in with each other decently, it looks like. Swarms are T2, 4 wounds, OC 0. So once OC 0, you're not running them out as full OBSEC, doing all your secondaries in 2 to 3 turns. So Necrons, so that was my problem with Necrons in 9th edition, is they didn't do a lot of damage to you and they were easy to kill. It's just, no matter what happened in the game, they were scoring all their points and just had to try to get a 99 to their 97. You know, it was like, it wasn't they weren't fun to play into, and as a Necron player, I'm sure that wasn't a fun way to have to play, knowing, alright, let me gotta score all these points now because I'm going to get tabled and I can't kill my opponent. Now they seem like they're going to be really good, and they're going to actually play the game like in a regular way. Like, they'll be interesting to fight against, and they seem like they're going to be really interesting and enjoyable to play. So I'm excited to see that, and hopefully Necron players are too. But the Swarm has Feeder Mandibles, which have lethal hits, 6 attack, strength 2, 1 damage. They get Self-Destruction. At the start of the fight phase, if this unit is within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units, you can select one model in this unit to destroy. If you do not roll for that model's deadly demise ability. Instead, select one enemy unit within engagement range of that model. Roll 1d6, adding 1 to the result if that unit is a vehicle. On a 2 to 5, they do D3 mortals, and on a 6, they do D3 plus 3. Alright, so you can just blow up and do mortals. So that is nice. And while an enemy unit is in engagement range of this unit, subtract 1 to the objective control characteristic of models of that enemy unit to a minimum of 1. Alright, so no matter what you do, you can't take the objective from them just with the Scarabs, but it will help you take it with other units. Can take between 3 and 6. But with the 0C, it seemed just more like a suicide unit. You just throw them into someone, start blowing Scarabs up. Then we have the Ophidian Destroyers. They're T5, 3 wounds, OC2. They have 5 attacks, strength 4, negative 2 damage. They're Tunneling Horrors. At the end of your opponent's turn, if this unit is not within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units, you can move this unit from the battlefield. If in the reinforcement step to the next move phase, they come back within 9, outside of 9. Alright, so they can deep strike in. You can pop them around the board. You can do that with Ctan too, so definitely. And then you still have Veil of Time, so you definitely got some movement shenanigans. So that's really nice. And then the Plasma Scythe, the same thing, so they can give their weapons devastating wounds once per battle. And same, they can take 1 to 2, depending on whether they're full strength or not. Then we get the Tomb Blades. They're T5, 2 wounds, OC2. They get their Particle Beamer, which is Blast, devastating wounds, D6 shots, strength 6, 1 damage. Twin Gauss Laser, Twin Tesla Carbine. Alright, so that's nothing new there. They scout 9 inches. They're neg 1 to hit. And then they can take a Nebula Scope, which gives them ignore cover. Or they can give themselves a 5-up invul or a 3-up save. And I don't know if they can take all of them. Oh, they can all take shield veins, so they can all get the 3-up save. But you have to choose between the invul and the ignore cover. I guess this depends on whether you want them to be more killy or more survivable, depending on how your test games go and what you find you need in your list. And then they move 9, right? No, move 12. They move 12. Alright, so that's nice. Then the Praetorians move 9, T5, 2 wounds. They have a Particle Caster, which is devastating wounds pistol, 3 attacks, strength 5, 1 damage. Rod of Covenant is 1 attack, strength 5, negative 2 damage. And in combat, the Rod is 3 attacks, strength 5, negative 2 damage. And then they have a Void Blade, which is strength 5, negative 1 damage. Then they're Relentless Combatants. They can reroll charge rolls for this unit, and they are able to charge in a turn in which they fell back. That's really nice to get both of those. Yep, they hit pretty good in combat. Okay shooting, not good range, but these are people, and they got a good move though, so this is something you want to get up in people's face. But once they get there, they look like they're going to do a little work. Then we got the Wraiths are T6, 3 wounds, OC2. They have the Transcendental Beamer, which is strength 4, negative 3 damage. They have their Vicious Claws, which are 4 attacks, strength 6, negative 1, 2 damage. And then their Whip Coils are strength 4, AB0, 1 damage. They have Wraith Form. Each time this unit ends a normal move, you can select one enemy unit it moved over during that move and roll 1d6 for each model unit. For each 4+, that enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound. Alright, so handing out mortal wounds to people you move over. And then they get a 4-up invul. They have Fly, so they don't like warp through stuff now, but they have Fly, so they're going to have to measure up and over now. So that is a little bit slight nerf to them, but handing out mortals, they still look like they're decent in combat. They're 3 wounds, and they're decently fast, so Wraiths are still fine. Annihilation Barge is T8, 9 wounds, OC3, no new weapons. He has Malevolent Arcing. In a shooting phase, each time you select a target for this model's Twin Tesla Destructor, roll 1d6 for the target unit and 1d6 for each other unit within 3 of the target unit. On a 5+, the unit being rolled for is struck by arcing energies. After resolving all this model's attacks, the target takes d3 mortals. Alright, so once again, jumping between different units with mortals from the Tesla. And actually, this is a Tesla Destructor, so maybe I didn't read that before. It's a Sustained Hits 2 Twin Linked, 6 shots, Strength 8, AP0, 2 damage. So that's pretty nice, especially with this. Then we got the Doomsday Arc, T9, 14 wounds, OC5. That's nice. This Doomsday Ctan is Blast Heavy, D6 plus 1 shots, strength 15, neg 4 damage. That's really nice profile. Hitting all 2s if you're stationary, which he always had bonuses for being stationary, so if you're used to playing Necrons, you're used to kind of trying to not have to move him. Gauss Flare Array, lethal hits, rapid fire 5. It's 5 shots, then this just Gauss profile. He's got Overwhelming Obliteration. In your movement phase, if this model remains stationary until the end of turn, its Doomsday Ctan gets devastating wounds. Yeah, so you definitely want to remain stationary with this guy. So you'll be hitting on 2s and doing devastating wounds. That's really nice. Yep, Doomsday Arc looks like he's still pretty good. Locust Destroyers are T6, 3 wounds. Gauss Cannon is lethal hits, strength 5, neg 2 damage. Each time this model uses to make the attack targets the close. So they get reroll 1s against the closest enemy unit. Closest eligible enemy unit. I never like when they have to shoot the closest, but reroll when they do reroll 1s, it's nice. But if you put a Lord in there, they reroll all hits, so this really doesn't matter. Between 1 and 6. I'm not sure. Could you take them in one-man units before? And it doesn't look like you can put. You used to be able to take a squad and put heavies in there. I'm not sure if they had that in the last edition or not. I know back in the day you could, but it looks like they can't now. They're just by themselves. Then we got the Locust Heavy Destroyers, T6, 4 wounds. He's got the Emotec Exterminator, which is heavy, rapid fire 6, sustained hits 1. So 6 attacks, 12 within 18. Strength 6, neg 1 damage, and then the Gauss Destructor is heavy, lethal hits. 1 shot, strength 14, neg 6 damage. So I guess it's whether you, I think you probably have to choose between the two of these. You choose whether you want them just killing people's infantry or whether you want them hunting people's tanks. Maybe take 1 unit of each just to give you some versatility, but both these profiles are nice for what they're meant to do. Then optimized for slaughter. Each time the monolith unit makes an attack with an Emotec Exterminator against an infantry unit, reroll wound rolls of 1. Each time they make a wound. So depending on, if you take the vehicle killing one, you get to reroll 1s against vehicles and monsters. If you take the little people killing one, you reroll 1s to wound against infantry. Alright, and then you take between 1 and 3 of them. Then we got the Canoptic Doomstalker is T8, 12 wounds, OC4. Doomsday Blaster is Blast Heavy, D6 plus 1, Strength 14, neg 33 damage. That's a decent profile. Then Twin Gauss Flare. Then they get Sentinel Construct. Each time you target this unit with an Fire Overwatch strat, they can Overwatch on 5s. That's nice. Especially with 48-inch range. 20, so both their guns can shoot, because Overwatch is 24, so if you're Overwatching, they'll be shooting both these guns. I'm assuming they get both guns. Then we have the Ghost Arc. This is your transport for Warriors. T9, 14 wounds. Gauss Flare Array, lethal hits, rapid fire 5. We saw that before. Repair Barge, once per phase, just after enemy unit finished making its attack. If one or more friendly Necron Warriors units within 3 inches of this model lost 1 or more wounds as a result of this attack, this model can use ability. If it does, select one of those Necron Warrior units that unit randomly activate. Can select the more than once. See, there you go. So now, they shoot you, you pop this. Your command phase, you reanimate. You have Resurrection Orb, and your opponent's turn, you reanimate. And then if you have that other guy here to give you an extra D3, you can really position it where if you don't kill a warrior unit, they're going to be back at full strength the next turn. So Necrons definitely still have that if you target one of these units, you need to finish it off. You can't just be piecemealing everywhere because they're just going to be healing back, hiding behind walls till their full strength coming back. So I didn't like the army rule the reanimation when I first saw it. I thought it was a little way weak compared to what it used to be. But they add all these extra little buffs. Once you synergize everything together, it's still really, really strong. And then he can transport 10 Necron Warriors and 1 infantry character. Then we got the Doom Scythe. Just flyer rules. T9, 12 wounds. He does not have hover. He gets the Heavy Death Ray, which is sustained hits D3, 3 shots, strength 16, neg 4, D6 plus 1. That's a solid profile. Twin Tesla Destructor, sustained hits 2, twin linked. I think we saw this already, strength 7, AP02 damage. Yep, so he looks like he's going to activate shoot much in the same way as before. Got one gun that's really good at little stuff, one gun that's really good at big stuff. And even this gun, you know, if you get lucky, you can pick a couple wounds off of big stuff in contrast with this. Not in contrast, in combination with. Then he's got an atavistic instigation. Wow. Each time this model targets an enemy entrance unit with its heavy death ray, your opponent must declare if that unit will stand firm or duck for cover. If it stands firm when resolving attacks against that unit, this weapon, this phase, unmodified hit scores 5 scores critical hits. He doesn't do devastating wounds, so I guess it's just to let him get sustained hits easier. So just to make it a little more useful against infantry. And if it ducks for cover until the start of your next shooting phase, models in that unit are -1 to hit. I think you always just take the -1 to hit because you do not want him getting any extra D3 shots with that big gun into you. Alright, and then Night Scythe, this was the transport one. It's T9, 12 wounds, just a twin Tesla destructor. Translocation beams. At the end of the fight phase, if there are no models currently embarked within this transport, you can select one friendly Necron infantry unit wholly with 6 of this transport. Unless that unit's within engagement range of one or more units, it can embark within this transport. Alright, so at the end of the fight phase, you can have one of your units get into this if they're within 6 of it, as long as they're not in engagement range. That's nice. So fly them up near something, you know, just to know that the enemy might want to charge them later and just pop in here and move them somewhere else. Because if you do this at the end of... So you move up, jump out, shoot, then the fight phase, get back in. Then on your next turn, you can move, jump out, shoot, get back in. Although there might be a rule, I know there used to be, I don't know if there's a rule saying you can't get in and out in the same turn. So maybe you have 2 different units. I don't know. There's some stuff here. I'm not sure if it works all the way I said. We'll have to read through some of the fine print in the rules, but there's some play here. And they can... One Necron infantry unit, no unit size, just one Necron infantry unit. Then we get your Obelisk, which is T14, 22 wounds. It's a Tesla Spheres, anti-fly, 4+ sustained hits 2. It's 6 attacks, strike 7, 1 damage. And then just armored bulk. And then he gets Deep Strike, and then Gravitic Pulse. At the start of your opponent's movement phase, you can select one enemy unit within 18 of and visible to this model. Until end of the phase, subtract 2 from the move characteristics of the models in that unit, and subtract 2 from advanced charge rolls made for that unit. In addition, if that unit can fly until the start of your next movement phase, roll 1d6 each time that unit ends any type of move. On a 4+, that unit suffers D3 mortals. That's crazy. So, if you did it on like a combat unit, they'd move, have to do this, charge, have to do this, pile in, have to do this, consolidate, have to do this. That really really limits what your opponent can and can't choose to do with that unit. They got 4 of the Tesla Spheres, so that's going to be 6, 12, 18, 24 shots coming out of this guy. Hitting on 3s. That's pretty nice. Then here's the Vault, 12 toughness, 24 wounds, 2 up save. Also has the Tesla Spheres. But then he's got... does he choose the Ctan powers? No, it looks like he just gets all the Ctan powers. In your shooting phase, when this model is selected to shoot, first select one Ctan power left. Until the end of the phase, this model is equipped with that weapon in addition to its other weapons. Cannot make attacks with any other Ctan powers weapons. Do not select this way. This is alright. So he shoots his Tesla Sphere and he gets to choose one of these each turn. So Antimatter Meteor has Blast, Devastating Wounds, and Direct. It's D6 plus 3 shots, Strength 10, -3, 3 damage. Cosmic Fire, Ignore Cover, Devastating Wounds, Torrent. 3d6 shots, Strength 6, -2, 1 damage. Times Arrow, Anti-Character 4+, Devastating Wounds, Precision. It's only 1 shot, Strength 3, -2, but 6 damage. So if you get that through, that'll kill most characters. Alright, so you got your... try to kill big stuff, try to kill little stuff, try to snap a character. Alright, that's nice. And then he tiers at 8. The Monolith, we've seen this in the previews, but we'll go through them again. He's T14, 20 wounds. It's got a Death Ray, a Gauss Flux Arc, and a Particle Whip, which is 3d6 shots, Strength 8, -1, 2 damage. Portal of Exile is 6 attack, strength 8, negative 3 damage. And then he has the Eternity Gate. In the reinforcement step of your movement phase, you can select one Necron infantry unit from your army that is either in reserve or on the battlefield. If you select the latter, remove that unit from the battlefield and place it into reserves. That unit is then set up anywhere on the battlefield that is wholly within 6 of this model and not within engagement range of enemy models. The unit cannot declare a charge this turn. That means basically you can bring a unit for reserve or warp a unit from the other side of the table over next to him and drop them to 1.0001 away from an enemy unit as long as they're within 6 of the monolith. That's going to be huge for like sealing objectives and stuff. Drop in an OBSEC unit right on an objective even though the enemy's standing on it. Alright, so that's really nice. You got a decent amount of shots. Decent combat. Hard to kill. Monolith looks really good. And he's got 4 of the Flux Arcs. Then here's the Silent King. He's T10, 16 wounds, OC 6, and then his Menhir are T10, 5 wounds, OC 1. And he comes with what, 2 of those? Yep, so his unit is OC 8. He's got an Annihilator Beam, which is 1 attack, strength 14, negative 4d6. I think that might be what the Menhirs shoot. He's got the Scepter of Glory, which is devastating wounds, 2 attacks, strength 10, negative 3 damage. Staff of Stars is indirect fire, 12 shots, strength 6, negative 1 damage. Then in combat, he's got the Scythe of Dust, which is lethal hits, has 12 attacks, strength 8, negative 3 damage. He blows up for d6 plus 3. Ooh. Then he's got the Voice of the Triarch. At the start of the battle round, select one Triarch ability until the start of the next battle round. This unit has that ability. So it only targets his unit. And then this Silent King, once per turn at the end of your command phase, you can select one friendly battle-shocked Necrons unit within 12 of this unit's Zerzrak model. So that's the Silent King. That unit is no longer battle-shocked. So you can turn off this at the end of your command phase. And so you score at the end of your command phase too. So since it's your turn, you can choose the order these happen. So this does let you turn a unit back on, battle shock off and score an objective. So that's really, really nice. And then his abilities are, well, a friendly Necron unit is within 6 of this unit. Xerox model. Each time a model in that unit makes a ranged attack, reroll a hit roll and a wound roll of 1. That's nice. Reroll hits and wounds of 1. While a friendly unit is within 6 of this unit's Xerac model, you can reroll charge rolls made for that unit. And then, while a friendly Necron unit is within 6 of this Xerac model, you can ignore any roll modifiers to the characteristic of models in that unit, and to any roll or test made for models in that unit, excluding saving throws. So this is Battle Shock, Charges, Movement, Shooting, Fighting, Strength, Toughness, anything like that. You don't take modifiers near him. I like that they specify it's the Zarek model. Before last edition, you were getting the buffs just for being near the Menhir because it came from his whole unit. So that is a little more restrictive, but these are all decent rules. This Battle Shock rule is amazing. And he still does a lot of damage on his own. He's still hard to kill. Silent King looks really good. And then we got Convergence of Dominion. This is a fortification. T11, 10 wounds. Has a Transdimensional Abductor, 3 attacks, strength 6, negative 3 damage, and it's got 3 of those. 3 converted Doom Starters. So there's 3 of the things, and they each have one of these. Reanimation nodes. While a friendly Necron unit is within 6 of this fortification, each time that unit's reanimation protocol is active, you can re-roll the dice roll to determine how many wounds are reanimated. That's right. It's only a D3, so if it was a D6 and you got the reroll, that'd be like a huge difference, but that's nice. And then the cover and fortification, that's just the generic ones that all fortifications have. That's okay. This and there was one other unit, the little like clawy guys that I wasn't super excited about, but the rest of the data sheets, all the characters are really good. The enhancements and stratagem really good. The army rules, if you take the characters and all the buffs for reanimation, are really, really strong. If you don't play into those, like, you got to build the synergies to make those work. So if you do, they're really, really strong. If you don't, they're kind of meh on their own. You need all the synergies and buffs to make them good, but I think Necrons should be very strong. You got to put a little thought into how you build the list and position stuff, but if you do that well, I think they will definitely reward you. So hopefully Necron players are excited to see this. It looks very strong to me. But that's it for now, and I'll catch you guys next time.